to the Merfolk deck that it's picked up a lot of popularity in Modern lately.
Yeah, it has.
So, yeah, winning the GP Copenhagen and so on.
Yeah, it was actually 2 Merfolk decks in the top 4.
Yeah, yeah. So, Goblins not having the 1-drop here, but Merfolk having it. So Merfolk is slightly quicker out of the gate, but that doesn't really account for much, because it's the follow-up that matters in these decks.
Yes, and Curse Catcher is of course a creature, but it's a bit anemic versus a deck with mostly creatures.
Yeah. And Sandro playing the Chalice of the Void to shut down the Vials and other Curse Catchers or whatever stuff Gustav might have in his deck.
But with the Cavern of Souls, he actually can get around that effect.
Yeah, and the Lord to follow up here is really big. He produces a lot of power quickly from the Merfolk side of things here. Sandro really needs something to catch up quite quickly here. But the Goblins do have Goblin Pile Driver in his deck that should be really great against the mono blue deck.
Yeah, it can block for days and eventually hit for
one shot your opponent.
Yeah.
So Sandro plays the War Leader, I think it's called.
Goblin Warchief, yeah.
Goblin Warchief, yes. Making goblins cheaper. But it doesn't really. He's not able to play much else than that. So the Merfolk. Oh, and another
Lord.
So the Merfolk player is quickly developing a lethal board here, as it seems. The Goblin player is up against the ropes.
Yeah, without the Vial turn 1. Of course, for either player, neither of them had Vial, but it will be hard for Sandro to catch up here. But he has the one part of the engine online now, the Warchief. Suddenly, goblins can just explode.
Yeah. But he's under a tough clock here, so he needs to explode quite quickly in order for this to get somewhere.
Yep.
And well, it seems like his hand isn't quite suited to do that. Let's see if Sandro can find a line of play here that saves him, because otherwise the Merfolks are just going to grow out of proportion and, well, take home the match.
Yeah.
So we see the Goblin Matron, I believe it's called.
Yep.
Searching his library for a Goblin card. Finding that's a good card.
Which one is that?
That's the Krenko mob boss.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
so that's a pretty good card to generate a lot of board presence with.
And one advantage that Merfolk usually has against decks in Legacy is of course the Island Walk, which is very often turned on. But of course against Goblins, that is irrelevant. And maybe with Krenko out, if he enters the battlefield unimpeded, he can
generate enough blockers to just keep the game going forever. Yeah, and Gustav here needs to put enough pressure, because Krenko will just run out with the game otherwise. Run away with it.
And it seems like he's pushing out more lords, this time in Phantasmal Image.
Yeah. So 3 Lord of Atlantises makes them all 4/4s. So that's 12 damage coming in on turn 4 here.
And the poor matron has to, take one for the team.
Yeah, and even Krenko here isn't really helping a lot of the situation.
No, the pressure is too high.
If Krenko comes out and activates, he just makes 2 goblins that needs to jump.
Yeah.
And he needs to jump with everything else as well. So Sandro's start was a little bit too slow there to be able to deal with the onslaught of the Merfolk player.
Yeah, that's very true. It was a fast start, and the third lord there, even if it was looking grim for the goblin player
Yeah.
before that, it was really the nail in the coffin.
Oh yeah, yeah. Without it, Sandro might have gotten enough time to get back into the game.
Yeah. One interesting thing I saw here is that both players have main deck Chalice of the Void.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's really interesting. It doesn't seem like this is the matchup where you'd want a card like that.
No.
Because it shuts down so very little from the other player.
Yes.
Neither of these decks are suited with a lot of cantrips and 1-mana spells that are very effective in other decks. But here you just play creatures, and they have Cavern of Souls to get around the counterpart from Chalice of the Void. So I believe those will be coming out from both decks.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And well, the Goblin deck and the Merfolk deck usually have a lot of a lot of tools to fight the other strategy.
Mm.
The Goblin deck usually sideboards a bunch of Pyroblasts that are great at dealing with all the blue cards,
Yeah, it's
whether they are spells or
it's
permanents.
Vindicate. Not really, but almost.
Almost Vindicate, yeah. With Painter Servant, it's actually Vindicate.
Yeah.
But I do believe that the Chalice of the Void will be coming out from both players, and they will bring in other tools to fight the creature matchup a bit better.
Yeah, they both need sideboard options that are able to deal with the other guy's creatures to slow down the development of all the
Yeah.
synergy and the tempo.
Yeah, and I believe that coming out of the gate quickly is very important in this matchup, since we saw game 1 that the Goblin player was a bit too slow out of the gate, so the Merfolk player could just develop enough of a board to make the Goblin player all the cards seem irrelevant for the game.
Yeah. Whichever player who will start with Ether Vial here, even if counters aren't that prevalent in this matchup, I'm not sure what Gustav does with his forces if he keeps them in. I'm not experienced enough with the matchup, but the tempo and the mana you say with Ether Vial is so good.
Yeah.
If you get it in your starting hand.
The surprise effect is not to be underrated, because
Very true.
there are a lot of things that you need to play around when facing down an Ether Vial. Even though these decks seems to just have creatures that makes bodies on the ground or whatever, it offers up so much when they come in at flash speed for no cost.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. It puts a whole other dimension on the creatures when you can play them whenever you want.
Oh yeah, for sure. So we'll see here. It seems like Sandro is taking a mulligan. I guess he deemed his hand a bit too slow, as it seemed to have lands and spells. But perhaps not quite the right tools for this particular matchup. On the other side, we see Gustav has taken in the Echoing Truth. I believe he just thinks it's slightly better than Chalice. That's my assumption, but we don't have the sideboarding down to the card.
Yeah, I suppose even if this is not the matchup where Echoing Truth shines the most, it can probably still be a big tempo play at some point of the game, in addition to wiping out a lot of tokens.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the Goblin deck are oftentimes very well suited to just generate a lot of tokens, and that needs to be dealt with somehow. So Sandro is out of the gate with a turn 1 Goblin Lackey, and protecting it from Force of Will with a Cavern of Souls.
Also a great start.
Oh yeah, but it doesn't seem to have any follow-up for it. Yes, his hand is consisting of 4 lands at the moment.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, and Gustav respects the lackey's power and just dismembers it right away. So, because the lackey is truly a powerful card.
It is. It is.
But Sandro once again just lands.
Just lands.
He
How
needs
unlucky.
to find gas. And this is perfect for the
Yeah.
Goblin player. Just,
Yeah.
sure, take my cavern. Let me
Yeah,
do
Sandro is
something.
happy to see that.
Yeah.
Slow down the game a bit so I can draw my goblins.
Yeah. But he doesn't. He drew another land.
Wow.
But he's happy to just get the time in order to find something other than lands here.
And also to just see a curse catcher here on
Yeah.
on the 3rd turn, I believe. But Gustav with 2 mana available.
Yeah. Well, Gustav with 1 mana up is representing a lot of spells, both removal spells in Dismember like we saw earlier, and spell pierce and, well, whatever he could muster with 1 mana. I don't think Gustav is playing any blue elemental blasts or hydroblasts in his deck.
No, I cannot see any actually.
So it doesn't really have the counter spells for the blue spells, the red creatures with that blue spell. And well, this seems to be a lot slower than the previous game.
But here I think Gustav drew a Silvergill Adept, perhaps giving him some more options.
Oh yeah, if he has another Merfolk in hand, it's gonna cycle him into a lot of good cards.
But he opts to play the true name instead, and one cannot blame him.
No, the turn 3 true name through a Cavern of Souls is always a good play. Pretty much always. So this seems to be really tough for the Goblin player to deal with at the moment.
Yeah, Goblins doesn't have any real tools to deal with it, except for, just overwhelm their opponent by their own aggression.
Yeah, so the Goblin player is playing 1 answer, as you can see, to the true name, but that requires a lot of setup, and he doesn't really have time for it right now.
No,
Or the cards.
he's very low on spells, and well, here is a matron, perhaps finding one piece of the engine.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems he's looking at Krenko.
There is Krenko again.
So he needs a card like Krenko here to be able to get back into the game and overpower the Merfolk player, and he needs it quite quickly. But he can only play it first next turn, and then activate it the turn after that. So he needs a lot of time to get going, and the Merfolk player could easily just play a few lords or something, and well, get through for a lot of damage with the true name.
Yeah.
And it's a race.
It's a race. Sandro can just hope that Gustav's hand is
Blanks.
Yeah, mostly blanks, and he cannot follow up the true name with another threat.
No.
And just continue to do his thing, his plan.
Yeah. But it's a tough position for the Goblin player here. He didn't get out of the gate very good, and well, he just bricked on a few too many draw steps.
Yep, and that's how it is sometimes. I'm very unfortunate, but
very unfortunate. So this true name seems to be the card O and a phantasmal image. I assume he might be copying the true name.
This will be a second true name, and
that's tough to deal with for pretty much any deck if you don't run sweepers. And is that a third true name?
It is.
Wow. That Krenko doesn't have time to do anything.
No.
Yeah, and he
So he
trades
jumps, goes down to 14 and is on a 2-turn clock here.
Yeah. Yeah, facing down 3 true names, he would need a card like, well, Engineered Plague perhaps, but I don't think he sideboards a card like that in Goblins. Yeah, taking out that Cavern of Souls, but it doesn't really do much in this situation. So I believe Gustav will close this game out in the next turn. Perhaps even this turn if he has 2 lords. But no. Just smashes through for a lot of damage, hoping to close the game out soon. Right, and we're looking for a backup match to find after this game is done, given that the Merfolk player wins this.
Yeah,
As
well,
it's
one
looking
would
like.
assume so.
Yeah, if I was facing down 3 true name nemesis at 5 life playing goblins, I would not be happy.
No.
No.
I can see that feeling.
Yeah. So Sandro is stepping away, possibly to talk with the judge. He might have a question or something. I would assume that it has to do with the targeting effect of Phantasmal Image, because you need to sacrifice it if it gets targeted.
That's true.
And that's a rule interaction, but the protection from everything makes it untargetable for the spells in Sandro's deck.
Yeah, that's the excellent thing with the True Nemesis and Phantasmal Image. You completely blank the downside with the card by copying a true name.
Yeah. So you can't block it, you can't target it, you can't damage it. It just negates everything you're trying to do.
It's
the
a
power.
true name for two.
Yeah, it's a true name.
Mostly.
So Sandro is in a tough position here. He plays the Mog War Marshal to generate a few more goblins, and is possibly just gonna activate Krenko to generate even more goblins.
But we can still understand the power of Krenko here, because if those true name would be lords instead, that would be a very powerful board. But Krenko.
If those were Lords of Atlantis, that would be a lot of power, but Krenko would just tap and jump them. So Krenko is a really amazing card in these matchups, but it doesn't really
interact that well with true name, unfortunately.
No. Facing down the true names.
And there we have the handshake. Bit unfortunate of the game there for Sandro, taking a mulligan first, I believe, and then keeping a hand with a potent 1-drop, but not